Everybody, welcome to Webinar Wednesday. My name is Martijn Lofvers. I'm the Chief Trendwatcher of Supply Chain Media. I'm also the Editor-in-Chief of Supply Chain Movement. That's a European quarterly magazine, still in print, but also online. And we have a huge group on LinkedIn, over 60,000 members worldwide, all supply chain practitioners and no fake profiles. And last but not least, I'm also the architect of the SCM IT supply map. And we'll talk about later why, because we're going to talk about end-to-end transport management systems today in a live webinar the next 60 minutes. So with me, we have 3 experts, and it's good to see that we have a lot of registrants. So almost 200 people have registered for this live webinar. And it's cool to see because I think, we don't have mentioned AI in the topic of today, but we'll talk about it indefinitely. So first of all, Mark Vos, Principal Solution Consultant of Manhattan Associates. Mark, welcome. Please, can you give me a short introduction, your background, and what is your relationship with transport management?
Well, first of all, Martijn, thank you for inviting us. My name is Mark Vos. I'm Dutch, but based in the UK. I've studied in Rotterdam, economics, transport, and logistics. The reason why I got into this is by my uncle used to be the chief executive of Transport Logistics in Netherlands. And I moved to the UK, worked for a company called Matterpack as a startup at the time. I think most people will be familiar with them, working on their carrier management solution. And after that, almost 22 years ago, I moved to Manhattan Associates, where I have been implementing our WMS and TMS solutions. And nowadays, as Martijn mentioned, I'm the kind of solution consulting. So working with our prospects and existing customers to maximize the value that they can get from our solutions.
Okay, thanks. Maurits Jongens, Managing Director TMS of Caroz. Maurits, maybe a bit of background from your side?
Yeah, sure. Maurits Jongens. I've been with the company for 14 years now. Before that, I worked for PostNL and TNT Express. After which I've started at Caroz TMS as a project manager, and now I am director of the TMS part of Caroz. During my time at PostNL TNT, I was involved in quite some projects where I saw the huge system landscape that was built up, and that also really got me interested in the whole IT component behind all the operational processes going on, and that's what really got me interested in TMS. So still, it's quite an interesting topic and business to be in. So happy to be here and to join the call today.
Okay, and last but not least, Rob Hazekamp, Director Logistics Solutions at Oracle. Rob, something about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Martijn, for inviting. A very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Rob, based in the Netherlands, and working for Oracle already for 14 years almost. And I look after the logistics solutions for continental Europe. And transportation management, I would say, is my favorite domain. So I do support our customers with helping them with the transportation management strategy and technology setup. So happy to be here. Thanks.
Okay, so some household things. So this webinar is being recorded. The PDF will be available and recording within 48 hours. So this is live, and you can interact. So you can use the chat functionality on the right-hand side. So, but if you want to interact with us, ask questions, please use the Q&A functionality on the right-hand side. You see the small text bubbles down below, and you can even vote on other people's question. If these questions are in line of the conversation I will be having with the 3 of us, I will ask these questions immediately. If not, I will reserve these questions until the end. We have a Q&A at the end. So we have still afterwards, if you have more interest and you have direct questions to one of us, please join us at the table in the virtual lounge. So we can sit down. So each of us have their own table. So have an interest to talk further to one of us, go at the virtual lounge right after this. So after the 60 minutes, we will sit down in the virtual lounge to have a further conversation with you in the extra 30 minutes. For now, the four of us will put off our camera, so why you can enlarge your screens and have a better view on the slides if you want to have a better look. But you can download the slides afterwards. All right. So there's a lot of things going on, and this is an overview of what CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, traded companies, are talking about. Basically, there's a transcription of all the phrases they are using in the financial earning calls every quarter. And this overview has been created since the start of COVID, since 2020, by a German scale-up. It's also generated. It's quite interesting to see. So basically, and that's why I show you this, supply chain has been on this chart ever since. So on the right-hand side, so to explain, the more further to the right, the more often it is mentioned, this phrase, compared to last quarter. So supply chain is still mentioned for, more and more since last quarter. And basically what you see, new phrases are popping up on the upper left side coming in. Nexperia, we all have seen it in last quarter, Q4. And then you see it going to the upper right, coming in, shutdown government. I expect in Q1, so that's the ongoing quarter, it will be about Iran and all that kind of stuff. And you see all kind of phrases. And then it's going to the lower right and then to the lower left, and then it's fading away. So that's how you see phrases popping up, ChatGPT, etc. 2 years ago, and then it goes up, and then it will go away. Or like supply chain, it will stay on the right-hand side. And you see that these are things I mentioned by the top guys and women in large companies. In blue, you see the supply chain-related topics, and in red, the risk-related topics. In yellow, I marked down the AI or tech-related topics. Mark, if you look at it, which topics are you talking about with your clients the most?
So I think first of all, I think all topics are important. So in one way or another, they're all mentioned on a regular basis. So trade policies, Brexit is still a hot topic for a lot of the companies that we talk to, but obviously AI is mentioned by any company that we visit, we talk to. And yeah, companies are very eager to explore what the opportunities are, what savings can be achieved with it, but also how they can streamline their operations across all the different departments within the organization. So I think those are the two key ones that I pick up here. Then for the more global customers, of course, the tariff discussion, like what's happening in the US with the tariffs, the uncertainty there. I think it's a topic that comes back on a regular basis for all our customers.
I have created my own slides as a derivative of the previous one. So this is a slide I created in 2020, and it has evolved. So basically, it started with all kind of black swans, COVID, the first one, war in Ukraine, leading to lockdowns, shortages, bullwhip effects, inflation. You see the cause and effect here on the slide. And of course, you see, with the election of Trump just 1 year ago, it seemed like ages ago, but it was just last year, leading to all kind of new tariffs, more costs. Also, the exchange rates between dollars and euros is something mentioned lately. Venezuela was the previous one, but now Iran is back again. So that would be number 8 as a black swan or gray rhino. Maurits, if you look at this slide, which topics and which cause and effects impacts are most mentioned in your conversations?
Well, I think all of them actually are coming back quite regularly. And I think the main thing that a lot of prospects and customers are taking away from this is a move towards more orchestration. So, control towers have been around for a while, but you see that they sometimes focus on a particular flow or part of the company. And now what a lot of companies are looking for is real end-to-end control and orchestration. So from inbound all the way towards outbound, stocks in transit, and mainly having this in place to have maximum agility. to just ensure that goods keep flowing and companies are able to produce their products.
All right. So what we did 1.5 years ago, we did a survey together with FSO management consultants among supply chain executives in Europe. So the top guys and girls at large manufacturing companies in Europe. And we asked them, what will be the main goals to transform your supply chain in the coming years, considering all this turbulence ongoing. And what you see here, the number one answer is increased resilience and agility. And you see some other things like supply chain cost reduction still important to more than 50%, and new business models is also mentioned as a driver for supply chain transformation. And in the middle, you see modern supply chain solutions like advanced planning and scheduling, transport management, and WMS. So even those APS, TMS, WMS are mentioned by senior supply chain executives at manufacturing companies. Rob, if you look at this, do you recognize this? And what is it? Is it what you're taking from all this?
Yes, I think it's spot on, Martijn. It is the business flexibility is a hot topic for a long period. And if you look from a TMS point of view, it's all about cost control. It is about carbon footprint. So that's the second one. And third, there's a customer behind a logistics process. So that end-to-end control for that logistics is key. So I think this really reflects the market. And of course, from a technology trend, I think AI is then the new buzzword. So I think embedded and adopt to AI. If you look to my last few conversations over the past few months, then it's all about AI and how we can use AI in our operations, if you ask me.
So, this one is in Q4 2024, so one and a half year ago. So we will update this, and I expect that things are changing rapidly. But all in all, I think they are still talking about resilience and agility, but, AI will pop up on the higher end. Like I mentioned, I'm the architect of the SCM supply chain subway map. So these are, all kind of well-known supply chain software vendors in Europe. And basically, you see this is the visualization of last year. So we're busy right now at this moment for update, which will be published in May, June of this year. Basically, this reflects, all the vendors available, ERP, WMS, TMS, SNOP, you name it, all supply chain related. And basically how this works, I get input from all these vendors based how many implementation have you done in Europe. So basically this is a proven capabilities on certain service lines, WMS, TMS, etc. And as you can see, this is the Dutch version, the most recent one. You see Oracle, very broad range in applications. We'll talk about it later. Caroz in the Dutch environment, different kind of focus expanding. We'll talk about it later. And Manhattan, in Europe, well known for warehouse management, but also on order management and transport management and the integration. All of it is all there. So basically, these are the three vendors in our call. What I also have done last year, and then we get a bit techy, but we see a lot of companies struggling with their company IT portfolio. And basically what I see, supply chain leaders, directors should be aware what is in use right now in your own company, whether you're a large multinational or a mid-sized company. Number of IT application is quite sizable. When I talk with them, it's not just one or two, mostly 10, 20 or more. If you count them. And here is the overview of all the applications I can imagine, from ERP down below to analytics on top level. From right, you have your CRM, your customer facing. To the left, your supplier facing. And in between, you have all kind of applications. And we talk about supply chain logistics execution today, and specifically on transport management. And in highlighted in yellow, you see all kind of supply chain execution, logistic execution related applications. Mark, if you look at this, so you are well known with the whole application environment. Do you recognize that a lot of companies have a whole plethora of applications and they should harmonize it and integrate it?
Yes, and I think what we see in the market really a move to kind of unify applications within the supply chain execution. So companies are looking for ways to have, looking at process flows rather than individual applications. When you talk about warehouse, you talk about transportation, yard, and labor. People want to see that as a single application where the end users are looking at the same data, regardless whether they have a transportation function, whether they have a warehouse function, or they have to operate in the yard. And looking at the same data real time really provides our customers and other companies a real opportunity to unlock new kind of benefits by combining that.
Yeah, and if you look at the colorization, so I've designed this, and if someone else has created a good-looking visual out of it. But the colorization also means that the same color means sometimes it's in a platform or it's in a suite, whatever. But even with Oracle, you have the whole bunch probably. So Rob, I think we'll talk about it later. I think you cover probably all of it within Oracle.
So yeah. Yeah, and also with a unified data model. So I agree. A single view on data is key, and could be so powerful to bring AI where the data is. So a unified data model helps.
Yeah, and what I see, and maybe that we talked about briefly about AI. How can you start? Where can you start with AI? I see, a data lake is in there. If you have a whole plethora of applications, like I see, like Henkel and Heineken, they have a data layer or data lake, like Microsoft Azure or Snowflake in between. So they have on top of their ERP. Why? Because then they have a better integration application of all the other applications above. So that makes it more workable, I would say. So that's what. So in my opinion, I have a small company with supply chain media. I have implemented a data lake, a data layer, Google BigQuery last year to get access to all my different sources in an environment I can manage. So in my opinion, you need a data lake to start with. Mark, you probably disagree?
Well, a data lake is always handy to have, but I think that the key thing from our point of view is that AI, especially agentic AI, needs to sit within the actual workflow. So that is the best way it can support the end users to speed up their work, make it more accurate, and make better decisions. So I think the key thing here is that it is within the actual workflow, but at the same time as well, and I saw that in your earlier slide, you referenced to MCP protocol, that AI agents are able to communicate with other agents as well. And for a lot of companies, that is still a while back away, but I think that is the future, what we're looking at.
Yeah, and here is also a digital supply chain twin highlighted, lower left. So I see a lot of needs popping up from supply chain directors I'm talking to. Why? Because they want to have an overview of the world. A digital supply chain twin will give them some insight. So whereas a few years ago, digital supply chain twins was pushed by vendors, okay, we can build it, we can create it for you. Now we see demand popping up from manufacturing, wholesale, retail, and logistics companies. They want it because they need to have another overview in that sense. And Maurits, you talked about logistic control tower. If you look at this, so this is also probably relating to your world, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And what we see is that more and more companies are looking for hybrid solutions. So not only the IT component, but also operational support, or maybe support in tendering for new carriers, supply chain engineering. So that's where we see quite some traction lately. And one other thing I wanted to mention on use of AI and in relation to the data lake is that we still see that yes, it's very useful to have all that data combined in a data lake and to use that and to have AI tools make use of it. But we still see that a lot of companies that we work with or prospects are still struggling with the data quality. So you can have a huge data lake with a lot of data, but if the data in there is corrupted or not correct, then it's still very hard also for AI to make sense out of it. So luckily, AI is also able to help with cleaning up data, but that's still a challenge from our perspective.
So yeah, I totally agree. And the good news is this overview you can download as a company, and you can fill it out. Which applications are we using at this moment? Which vendor has applied this? Manhattan, Caroz, Oracle, or you name them. Or you can fill it out in each box, and some boxes are filled out with the same name. So maybe Manhattan for Orderments, WMS, and TMS. So basically, you can download this overview for yourself, and then you have your overview of all your applications and the vendors, and you can discuss it internally. I see some large companies, they do it by division. So division in Europe A can compare with division in Europe B. What kind of application do they have? Which portfolio? And then they can discuss which one should be replaced, which one is working with AI, which one are not prepared, which one is on premise, and which one should be moved to the cloud, etc., etc. So basically, this overview is being created by myself and my team to give companies, small to large companies, create your own overview in supply chain, what you have and what you need. So that's the reason why we created this. All right, moving on. So Maurits, can you tell me a bit more about Caroz, and then we'll talk about TMS way deeper.
Yes, of course. I'd be happy to. For those of you that don't know Caroz yet, we are an international provider of control tower services. We offer end-to-end transportation management solutions, and our control tower can actually be implemented in different ways depending on companies' needs. So companies can use the TMS as a standalone software solution, managing their transport with their own teams, or they can fully outsource the operational management to Caroz and use our in-house specialists, combining technology with our operational expertise. Mm-hmm. Our HQ is located in Venlo, Netherlands. We have offices in Hilversum, Rotterdam, 5 in China, 1 in Bangkok. We've been developing and operating our in-house TMS since '92, so been around for quite some years. And from the very beginning, we had a focus on shipper TMS, first in Europe in doing so. And we've been helping companies ever since, managing and executing their transportation across multiple countries and logistics partners.
So before we go to the results and TMS, so you talked about shippers. I like to call them cargo owners. So those are the manufacturing companies, wholesalers, and retailers who own the goods. And on the other side, you have the carriers, the 3PLs, or possibly the 4PLs, but you're playing that kind of role. Before we go on about TMS and your side, do you see a distinction between transport management system for the transport companies, the carriers, etc., on one hand, and the cargo owners on the other hand? Do they have different needs and different functionality?
Yeah, we do. And I think, especially traditionally speaking, we do definitely. We see that there's more and more overflow from one to the other, but the perspective is in essence different. So the cargo owner TMS is really focused on having external suppliers, carriers that are used for the transport, and you're managing your orders, consolidating, and with your TMS checking what's the best carrier for this job. Simply speaking, and from the carrier perspective or LSP perspective, it's about receiving transport orders, checking what's the best combinations and the best routes or milk runs to drive, managing your fleet, and also managing your drivers and how they can be planned during the day.
Yeah. Talking about all your services and solutions, so what are the results for all this?
Yeah, so I think we as was seen on the last slide, we are really a company that has a variety in service offerings. Moving as a kind of a power boat is what we try to do, and we do that for different kinds of customers. So bigger ones with high volumes like Samsung Electronics in France. What you see here on the slide, we were able to, for them and also published by them, have significant gains in efficiency. And by order consolidation and load building, increased load factor, with carrier selection, lower transport costs, and increased performance. But we also do this for smaller companies that are more specialized in a niche market, like Vekoma, a company that builds roller coasters from the Netherlands and ships the roller coasters themselves and all the spare parts all over the world. And we especially see that for a company like this, there's mainly also a challenge in compliance. Do I have all the correct documents? Are they checked off for this destination and this flow? And having a TMS can really help you automate those kind of processes.
And I can imagine, Vekoma with the roller coasters as a main product. So that's probably more project based.
Yeah.
And then you have to select specific transport companies all around the world. So
yeah,
that would be more ad hoc based. Whereas Samsung, I can imagine it's more lane based replenishment. So you see a lot of different kind of company setups and different kind of needs in this sense.
Definitely, yeah.
And I was also wondering, what we see with the spot market, with you have freight platforms online. So how do you look at this? So which part of transportation is trade lanes? Is you have contracts for a whole year or beyond that, and how much will be on the spot market?
Yeah, well, I mean that's an interesting topic, and over the last few years, there were some interesting moves looking at cargo owners sometimes moving fully to online freight platforms and only using those.
Mm-hmm.
Most companies came back from that because, as it was, it looked very promising in the beginning when there was enough capacity, and then during COVID, it became a huge problem. And so most companies nowadays are choosing for a mix where the biggest part is pre-contracted and a smaller part is on ad hoc basis where they use these platforms. What we do at Caroz for our customers, and this is also part of one of the trends that we see, is also that hybrid solution, which also as an offering has the possibility to say, hey, we don't have a regular rate for this or a contracted rate for this specific shipment. Let Caroz, the control tower, so the control tower team, check what the options are for this shipment with all the contacts and the network that they have, and see if they can find a suitable solution. So it's one of those hybrid solutions that I talked about earlier, but it's much broader than that. It can be PO management with in our PO management module in TMS, but with follow-up by our colleagues of the control tower. Could be supply chain engineering projects, tendering projects, and we see that this gets traction also because there still is quite a shortage in the labor market for logistics experts and operators. And with using a hybrid solution like this, you can actually secure that capacity and the know-how within your company while keeping flexible and be able to grow to new sites.
And finally, AI is mentioned here. So what's the role of AI in all this?
Well, I think there's also something mentioned by Rob and Mark. It is a very interesting and promising technique. And what we see for us is that we mainly see it's being used for with a AI agent, Caroz, that can help, for instance, customer service or the sales order desk with answering any questions on a specific order or a PO that's in TMS, while these people don't access TMS all the time and have limited know-how on how it works. They can just type in any question in their own language and get a full and correct answer. But it's getting broader and broader. MCP was mentioned earlier. I think one of the hardest things within an implementation project is also always connecting all your stakeholders to TMS, so the carriers, but also ERP, WMS systems. And this technique, MCP, makes it possible for AI to connect to external systems easily and communicate with them without having to do a full mapping between those systems. Agents were mentioned before. So that's really used for end customers. But we also see internally for our own development team that it's speeding up development, able to create documentation for your software code. So we see that's really also helping and saving us time in doing implementations and further and adding new functionalities.
Okay. So thanks, Mark. Can you tell me a bit about Manhattan Associates as a company?
Yeah, sure. So once again, thank you for having us. So who are we? So Manhattan Associates provides supply chain commerce software solutions. As you can see, that covers supply chain planning, omnichannel commerce, and most relevant for today, supply chain execution, which covers transportation management, but also warehouse management, labor management, and yard management. And that's all in a single, as I mentioned earlier on, unified application. Important to highlight that all our solutions are available on our Manhattan Active platform, which is our cloud-native API-first architecture using microservices and APIs kind of throughout the application. The architecture, I think the interesting part of that is it allows us to continually invest in leveraging the latest technologies to maximize the value of new innovations in machine learning, robotics, and AI. And yeah, people might be wondering, like, I'm not really interested in the technology, but even if you are mostly focused on the functionality when you are selecting a new vendor, the architecture means that our solutions are always current. So every 90 days, our customers take advantage of innovations made available in the latest release. And that is with zero downtime. So in the background, we are every 90 days releasing new capabilities and features and functions. It also means that the solution is fully extensible. So our customers can personalize the application by extending the UI, the business logic, and data. So in all those layers, and they can basically customize it and add their own innovations, if you like, without compromising the releases that we do every 90 days. And part of the architecture as well, and I think coming back to what Maurits was saying earlier, is the ability to easily connect with external applications as well. So having the right data and having that data available real time is crucial to have a good supply chain execution platform. So if you look at who our customers are, I think across the board we all agree on that one. The verticals, so retail, grocery retail, wholesale, food and beverages, even 3PLs are coming in the picture nowadays. But then consumer goods, and especially we see an increase in manufacturing and production, looking for solutions that traditionally have been more focused on retail, because what they're seeing is that their customers are looking for a more customer experience. So if you would order something online, people who are in the manufacturing industry, they kind of have that same kind of go through that same process that the expectations are higher nowadays.
Yeah.
If I talk about like who are these customers now, it could be anything from the top global retailers, 3PLs, apparel, or sport brands that we work with, but also the local boutique style businesses. So any business that is looking to plan, sell, ship, and deliver with speed and simplicity are effectively a good match for us to partner with.
If you look at the supply chain execution, let's zoom in on that, because that's a broad term, but how do you define it and what does it mean for our audience?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier on, supply chain execution covers warehouse, labor, transportation, yard, carrier management. But if we focus purely on the TMS side, we talk about our modular solution. So that's all about strategic network design decisions. So think about warehouse locations, but also analysis and simulation of impact of changes to your network. So new suppliers or suppliers that disappear, your customers or your stores, if there's any changes in that, how is that impacting your transportation network? Procurement, this is more focused on the strategic procurement. And then we've got the kind of day-to-day planning execution module. So the core of that is, of course, our planning optimization engine that can support dynamic, static, and hybrid planning of shipments for both common carriers and own fleet. And that supports in itself then the execution when you talk about tendering and broadcasting, working with the carriers to execute those shipments. And that's then linked again to monitoring the progress and support any exception management within that. And at the end of that, you've got the audit, payment, and claims using planning and execution information to process like carrier invoices and any associated claims as well. So if you would summarize it, it's basically supporting end-to-end business processes for all transportation functions across all modes for your entire logistics network. So talk about inbound, interfacility, and outbound, and that could be private and own fleet as well.
One short question about visibility. A few years ago, we saw the rise of real-time transport visibility platforms. I see here visibility also mentioned as a functionality. How do you look at the real-time transport visibility platforms, and what are you providing within the Manhattan environment?
Yeah, so a lot of these platforms are partners. So what we tend to do when we are implementing our solution at a new customer or an existing customers, quite often they have already these visibility platforms in place. Mm-hmm. So we like to leverage, or we like to allow our customers to leverage past investments that they've made in those solutions. So one, we can connect to those platforms. The second option, of course, is that we connect directly with the carriers themselves through EDI, and more and more we see API integration to be on top of the list rather than EDI. Mm-hmm. And then we always have the fallback option where for the smaller carriers in the market, we have our own carrier portal and mobile app. So our customers can leverage the smaller parties without jeopardizing the visibility that they've got with the larger carriers in that space.
So Manhattan is doing surveys quite regularly. One is also about TMS. Maybe you can explain what are the most important findings of these recent survey.
Yeah. So and just before I start, this research is available on our website. So if you look for TMS research or you type Innovation Born, you can get access to the full report and an interactive dashboard. So this is more high level, the results that you can see here. Mm-hmm. But I think the key takeaway is that transportation is becoming more of a strategic priority for organizations. It's always been there, but it's becoming more and more important. I think the role of transportation within organization is getting more focused nowadays.
Yep.
It's highlighted, the research has highlighted opportunities, but also some concerns that remain about, as you see in the first point, the ability of the current systems to meet future demand. So 87% of the respondents think that the current TMS solution might not be the right solution, and that, in order to meet future demands, that they need to invest in the right solution. Mm-hmm. And the second part is visibility and integration unification. Most people ask, like, why is that together? Well, and I think Maurits highlighted that earlier on as well, is that you can have the best visibility tools in the world. However, if your data is not real time, is not accurate, it is pointless. So having visibility across the board, having the right integration with those service providers, but also having unification with other applications as well, because I think that is the key thing, is that we should not see transportation as a standalone solution within the supply chain execution network. It needs to be fully unified in order to take advantage of both warehouse, transportation, yard, and labor capabilities in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think when we look at optimization, as you can see, there's great confidence that emerging technologies will improve the technology, the outcomes of planning engines, and think about machine learning. But I think what is really coming back from the research as well is that people want to take into account the broader supply chain, and it's also relevant in a bit to the sustainability as well. It means that transportation decisions could be driven as well by procurement decisions. So is the procurement team fully aware of the impact of the timing that they're placing orders with suppliers? Are they aware of the size of the orders that they play with their suppliers? So it could well be that an order placed by procurement might be a good deal, but it end up with like suboptimal transportation. So more alignment within that will kind of bring that better optimization there. And then, of course, artificial intelligence. We talked about it already earlier on, but we can see clear the market expectation is that agentic AI, etc., is going to assist transportation teams to improve speed, accuracy, and efficiency. And as I mentioned earlier on, the crucial thing here, I think, is that they need to be part of the workflow. So on top of a data lake, it's good to do reporting, but it really needs to be part of a workflow to take advantage of the AI, agentic AI possibilities.
Not to cut you short, but maybe you can very briefly address this slide, because then I want to hand over to Rob.
Fair enough. Sorry for that. So I think that our unique approach to technology. So 3 things I want to highlight: unification. It's all about removing the traditional system boundaries to unlock new opportunities from our point of view. So don't think about TMS and WMS, but think about inbound and outbound flows. Mm-hmm. API first, as I mentioned earlier on, it's all about your ability to extend and personalize the transportation solution to add your innovations to our solution. And then AI, I think we've mentioned it already, so I don't have to talk about that anymore.
Okay. Thanks for now. Rob, talk about Oracle, known for databases, of course, but there's a whole world out there on business applications, and especially in supply chain. Maybe you can address this.
Yes, thanks, Martijn. This slide covers our supply chain capabilities. And across the full supply chain, we support supply chain planning, execution, and logistics. And AI is already embedded. And Oracle is in a very strong position here, because we run the full cloud stack in our own data centers. So the key point is simple. We do not add AI on top of an application. We build it inside the application where the data is. That makes it much more easier for our customers to adopt AI. And AI is a hot topic. So the early adopters of AI, they have approximately around 20% lower cost in logistics than laggards in the market, as we discovered together with McKinsey.
Yeah. And maybe there is a huge development in AI, and maybe the next slide will address it. This is from January last year.
Yeah, so it's funny. So it's great. So if you see this slide, so we kicked off, of course, already on a long journey with AI. And if you're going to compare last year to today, so if you will do one click more, you see a very fast growth in AI capabilities. And this is off Jan, so I can't even create it for the slide for today in March, because it don't fit anymore on our slide. So it's and if you look to the AI adoption throughout our customer base is high. So we track it via our cloud success navigator, and that means that around the 60% of our current customers are already applying AI into their business.
Maybe, to zoom in, because I see all kind of AI agents in here on this slide, and we don't go through all of them, but it's good to see, the specification of individual agent here, and look at the right side with logistics, TMS environment. There are some,
maybe-
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe it's a good idea to give you a concrete AI example.
Yeah.
And if you do a click, what you see over here is one concrete example in transport planning. And it's called, where we will introduce it, it's called our new AI advisor. And this really helps planners to improve the decision-making process, to run the plan process faster, and at the end, realize lower costs. So it really supports the user, it not replaces. So what you see over here is that there's a new order popping up, and then the assistant will basically advise and guide the planner, okay, where do I need to bring it into certain planned lanes already? And then automatically also identify the impact of making that decision. So it really supports the user. It will not replace the end user.
So looking at this, considering the turmoil in the Middle East, I can imagine that there are a lot of suggestions popping up like this among your users, how to reschedule flights from China to Europe and other areas.
Yeah, that is a concrete example where business flexibility and agility, creating the digital backbone in order to become flexible, is one of the goals, of course, why people are creating those digital platforms. Yeah.
And looking at this, what you mentioned, not AI agents all totally automated. You get suggestions, and either you approve them or not. And if you have a lot of improvements, then you have some business rule to automate certain decisions.
Yeah, of course, you can let the agent run the business completely, but I think it will be, so that's what we do with our agent studio, is that the end user will determine where they will make that decision moment to control the process. So you can create that agentic workflow yourself. Yeah?
So Mark mentioned, transport management is about the integration of inbound and outbound overall. Maybe you can have explain this slide, how you see the total end-to-end supply chain.
Yes, thanks. And now this on this slide, you see the TMS core or execution capabilities and the extended capabilities. So from order management, execution, planning, and the finance processes. So the core TMS end-to-end process. But also good to highlight is the importance of using extended capabilities like tactical planning. So what if considerations for your network? Are you running the ideal execution setup? So with a 360 view, based on this capability, you can double check the ideal execution setup. Global trade, you mentioned in the intro, global trade compliance is integral part of the solution. So import and export trade compliance. And what we also recently added is a new setup for carrier collaboration and connectivity. It's our Oracle Business Network. So, of course, we haven't established an REST APIs with all the complementary solution partners out there in the market. But we also offer customers a new way to connect with their partners. And if a customer or an LSP is connected in our Oracle Business Network, then they are also automatically connected to all the other Oracle ecosystem users. So it really helps in terms of connectivity. And of course, all supported by AI.
Yeah. So my takeaway when I look at this is two things. Basically, like Mark already mentioned, you have to map out the whole process flow, particularly for your company, end to end. So where does it start and where does it end? And it's also related here from the first order coming in to the payment and even returns, that kind of stuff. And another thing is, similar to my overview of the company IT portfolio. It's like an IT stack. It's layered. So basically, people have to be aware of that. We're living in a IT or data-driven world, so you need this overview of, on one hand, the processes, and on the other hand, the layers of technology. Otherwise, you won't get there where you want to and want to improve. Rob, this is all nice and fine, but how do you work to implement all this?
Yeah, that's good topic I would like to bring to the table. AI also accelerates the implementation. So that means that what we do with Oracle Cloud Success Navigator, that's basically storing and collecting market best practices, and our customers can very easily do a copy paste of certain configurations of our clouds, and then they do the copy paste into their own production environment, and then adopt market best practices in a very fast, simple way. And this really helps in terms of return on investment of your solution and rapid deployments. I think that's key. It's really a something maybe that's a hidden secret, but we can go fast. Yeah.
No, if I look at implementation time in 3.5 months, that's quite quick. And it's good to mention that also on the implementation side, we could win and accelerate.
Yeah, for example, if you have a single one for Europe, you have a road set up, we can deliver that in certain timeframes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good to know, because I think there's so much going on, and standing still is meaning you are left out and you will lose out. So to wrap up, we did a survey, like I mentioned, 1.5 years ago, and basically we asked supply chain executive, where do you think AI will be applied, and where do you have the highest success rates and the needs? End-to-end control towers was mentioned number one, and next was in production supply planning, and also machine learning and forecasting. So that's good to see. That's the environment we're talking about in this webinar. But also in the middle, digital supply chain twin is popping up. So they do talk about it, they want it, and maybe that's the new flavor of what we used to call control towers. And last month we published an article about supply chain command centers. So that's the phrase Gartner is using. So that's a cross-functional control tower, I would say. So basically, you used to have logistic control tower, procurement control tower, but now you want the overarching cross-functional command center. So that's what Gartner is talking about. And basically, they also say you need layers to get there. So that's mentioned on the left-hand side with the picture. So you need to have some WMS and TMS and order management system as a layer. Otherwise, you won't get there. But this is how you build a command center. Mark, is it also something what you see that companies are looking at the way to get a total overarching view on the business?
Absolutely, and that's I think one of the reasons why Manhattan has invested heavily in the unification of transportation, warehouse, and order management functions, is in order to provide that supply chain command center. The unification of the data, of the processes is essential, because otherwise I think the benefits or the value that a supply chain command center can deliver will be compromised.
Mm-hmm. And Maurits, you are delivering a control tower. Is a command center, is it in scope? Are companies you talking about talking about this, or is it too far-fetched, or is it not on their horizon?
No, I think this is exactly what companies are looking for. Also when looking at our control tower offering. So it's as mentioned, it's from the supplier PO side towards warehousing and outbound, everything controlled from a control tower. And the question is who you're putting in the control room. Is it only your own staff? Is fully outsourced, or a combination of both?
Yeah. Rob, What do you see? Because I think, Oracle has a broad range of users and customers. Do you all see them, centralized in a certain environment, or is it more dispersed, decentralized?
Now, we two things: central system combined with local execution, and so building one global instance to support every local business out there. And so that's one. So create one solution to support local execution, and AI will really play a role to create that business monitor function, what you would like to see, what you would like to create with a command center. And indeed, the logistics area and this will become more important because at the end there is a customer behind a logistics process, I would say.
Yeah. So basically, on the left side, you see a physical building, but it doesn't have to be a physical building. It could also be a virtual environment. All right, thanks for now. We have still a few minutes for a few questions. I see in the audience one of the questions. It's a broad range of questions, but are rail and barge options fully included in all TMS applications? So, Mark, TMS, what kind of modalities are in there?
All modalities are supported, so including rail and barge, short sea, deep sea, you name it.
Maurits, what about Caroz?
Yeah, same for us.
Okay, good to know. And Rob?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
All right. And another question, how do you protect confidential information when interfacing with AI? What stops a quantum computer in future hacking AI data? Well, maybe too techy, but maybe Rob?
Yeah, it's an important topic. Security is a big thing. So that's what we so we build our own data centers. So we run our own cloud stack. So we deliver everything. That means that we can also give our customers the ultimate security that we will not share it with in the general open AI platform. So we have secure environments with several language models and several AI capabilities, all protected throughout our security with our security regulations and that kind of thing. So it is fully controlled and secure. That's good news.
Maurits, you are doing 4PL services and companies are using your TMS. So do you have also Chinese walls between your customers internally?
Definitely. That's a very important one as well. And it is of the utmost importance, as Rob mentioned, that those Chinese walls are there and they're also technically enforced. So we have several ways of doing that. But still, if you talk about quantum computers and where that's going, that's also going to be an interesting phase, and that's still upcoming. I think also security measures will need to keep pace, and it's a very important topic to really keep an eye out and stay ahead when these quantum computers are also evolving very quickly.
There are some also specific questions to each of you, but that could be handled in the virtual lounge right after this. But Mark, to wrap up, final question. Skills on how to manage and work with AI are a hot topic. What attention do you pay to these soft skills with customers when implementing your solutions?
It's a very good question. So when we look at AI, I think the key thing here is that we are allowing our customers or enabling our customers to build their own AI. And as part of our early adopters programs, we've identified how we can best support our customers in that space. And you are right, the soft skills, it's quite often the people on the floor that actually have a good idea once they understand the opportunity that AI agents bring to them. They actually are best at identifying where they want to apply these AI agents.
Okay. Thanks for now. So more questions could be asked here in the virtual lounge right after this. So within a few minutes, we'll be there. I'll explain later. So there were mentions, the survey was mentioned by Manhattan. It's out there. The link is out there. We have a link to the IT supplement where you can download it. You can download the company IT portfolio for end-to-end supply chain management for your own company and fill it out and explain to your colleagues what you have and what you need. And also about Caroz is mentioned. So there's more to come over here. Basically, wait up here. We also have some more information about our TMS demo day. The good news is the three of you will be presenting in an executive room each on April 15th at the Schiphol Airport. So basically in one afternoon, you will get demos about their TMS solutions from each of them. So if you are actually looking for transport management software, you can go to Schiphol on April 15 in one afternoon. You get live demos by these TMS vendors, and you get all the answers you need, and you get the real flavor of the real thing. So with that, we're on the spot on the hour. The audience, either live or recorded, thank you for watching. And with the question, thank you for asking these interesting questions. If you have more questions right after this, we will be there in the virtual lounge. And for the three experts on TMS, Mark, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And Maurits, also thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Very interesting.
And Rob, also thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks again, Martijn.
And once again, thank you for joining this webinar, live webinar, and thank you for interacting. And I hope to see you in the next webinar. Follow our agenda, you'll see the next one. Thanks for now, and maybe I will see you right after this in the lounge or in the next webinar. Thanks for now, and
see you at the demo day.
See you at the demo day.
Thank you.
Thanks.